What do you think causes people to try to control these interactions and lie to these women and not being congruent? What do you think is ultimately driving them?
I think, to be honest, it's really like the fear of losing that girl. Like, this inadequacy, like, at the same time, like, I can't find somebody else like her. So it's like that's what's driving them to try to keep the girl there by being honest, by being, by telling a lie, by
Mm,
putting up a front, and just trying to win points, trying to say the right things because they want to keep her there. They don't want to lose her. And it's the
yeah.
whole idea of, I think we spoke about this earlier as well, the whole idea of being needy. Like when you really need, when you need the validation because you really want to win her heart. You need
Mhm,
that validation from her. You want to try to hit the right notes. That's what's going through their head. Like
mhm,
I want to make sure I put my best foot forward so that she's gonna
mm,
like me for that. Because I
mhm.
don't want to lose her. I have to do all I can to keep her. Whereas in actual fact, um, she might not even be the right one for you because
Yeah.
deep down inside, if you're honest about who you really are and you show that, she might just run miles away. But
Mhm.
what you do instead is you suppress that because you're like, no, that side of me she cannot never see. But that is the true side of you. If she can never see that side, then why on earth are you together with her in the first place?
Yeah, I think a lot of guys have to understand, and I want to hammer in the point that you're saying is a lot of it's
Yeah,
fear. And I do want to say from my experiences, not just with dating, I always like to weave together different threads from different parts of my life. But when you're not honest, it always adds up and it adds a lot more friction. It's almost like it's kind of like that analogy where if a plane goes a few inches off course, if it
yeah,
doesn't course correct over time, it's 100 miles off course. And this is not the best analogy, but I found that anytime that you lie and you're not congruent or you try to suppress or hide something or put on a front, one, it's very exhausting to keep up because then you're like remembering the front that you put on. And by that, I'm saying I'm speaking from experience. I'm not just using it to judge and say you guys suck.
yeah,
The second thing is the lies do add up or the incongruence does add up. And you find out that you're carrying a very heavy emotional toll from having to manage the lies and the results of that lie of what she believes. And the other thing is actually, as Val said, you end up with the wrong person and there's a misalignment. And I think I've noticed that to be true with clients when I'm trying to, let's say, take on clients that are the wrong fit for me. And I'm trying to say, like, yeah, I help you with that. Like, imagine if someone
okay,
said, like, hey, I want same day lays. For me, I've
yeah,
never really much done that stuff, right? I'm not going to dive too much into my sexual exploit, so to speak. But the whole point is, it's going to feel really weird for me to try to claim I can help them. I'm sure I could because I know the principles enough, but at the same time, it's going to feel really weird and it's going to add up as opposed to a guy saying, hey, I'm a 40-year-old or 35-year-old tech guy. I want to date the women I want, but ultimately, I want to find a good girlfriend,
yeah,
amazing girlfriend, by being myself without feeling like I need to put on a show. For me, I'm like, holy shit, I know I can help you. I'm not going to lie to you. And it is really true. And I think a lot of guys, I think let's explore that a little bit. They're saying, Val, I get what you're saying. We should be honest because I know ultimately I realize, yeah, I am scared of losing the girl. But the thing is, it's so hard to meet the women I want. And it feels like most women are never attracted to me. So when I have one girl, she seems so important. I know I should be willing to lose her, but still, like I'm scared that I'm not gonna have another girl for a long time. I mean, that's a
yeah,
fear that I had because I remember, that's why I held on to really bad relationships too. Because I'm
yeah.
like, I'm scared I'm not gonna find another girl that's as hot as her, blah blah blah, and all that other stuff.
Correct. Okay. So you're saying that basically, even though they know it, they're still afraid.
There's so exactly.
Right, right. Personally, for me, it's like okay. I think it boils back to when you mentioned this. This actually brings up a memory. Like back then, for me, I had the exact same problem. Like uh, yes, I know that I know the fear was there and it was real, and that yeah, if I was honest, I'm gonna lose her. And I knew the stakes that were involved, and I realized after a while what my problem and what my mistake was, and that was I didn't pay attention to like you see I was putting the whole idea of getting a girlfriend up there on my list of priorities. I didn't put it in like I didn't put myself first.
Mhm.
And this is a big problem with nice guys, because they tend to put people in front of them. They tend to want to do things to make others happy, right? So
Mhm.
for me, I placed myself first, and I told myself, hey, I got to accomplish certain things in my own life. Like I've got to go out there to hit my own goals, and I have to live a life that is extremely fulfilling. Like it has to come from within me first before I'm able to share this with the girls that I want to date. Like, why
Mhm.
would I be bringing a girl into my life when I have nothing to offer in terms of lifestyle value? And okay, man, let's not talk about finances and stuff like that, because
Yeah.
a lot of people are like, what if my
Oh,
finances are not in
I
check?
need to make money now. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like, I mean, that is actually the least of your concern, because finances are the easiest things. It's one of the easiest to handle, because if you don't have money, the first thing is you can always change your job, get something else, and
Mhm.
so on and so forth. It's very logical. But the things that you should really focus on is your own lifestyle, your own inner being, and really like focusing on developing those areas of yourself before going out there and bringing somebody into your life. Because you see, I was on a journey myself whereby I realized that I wasn't being honest, I wasn't being truthful. I'm sure you can relate, right, Jeremy? Like,
Yeah,
I was
definitely.
putting on a facade. I was pretending to be someone who I was not for a good 2 to 3 years, and that really hurt the relationship that I was in. Because even though I was in a committed relationship back then, at the side I was still trying to prove to the pickup community that I was this damn good. Which means that on the side I was still trying to pick up, even though when I had a long term relationship, and that's like, come on, that's like unfair for the girl. That's like dumb, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But you see, that's who I was when I was much more younger, and that left a big scar inside. Like it left a
Mhm.
big hole, because I felt empty after that, and I realized that shit, this is not me. Like I struggled to try to find who I was after that, and I went down a very long personal journey of like rediscovering my passions. It's just like going back to primary school in a way,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
really going back to elementary school, and trying to understand the basic concepts once again. So only when I reached that point of understanding that, hey, there's there's a purpose that I need to fulfill, that's when women started kind of gravitating towards my life. So,
Mhm.
to answer the questions, like, yeah, we know the fear is there, we understand it, but the things that, what if I really might not get another girl? I think that's not the right way to say it. The best way to say it would be like, let me just focus on, accomplishing the things that I want to accomplish first, and knowing that in that journey, women will naturally gravitate to you. They'll just kind of just come in because of the fact that they are attracted to this aura of this guy who is out there, who's being himself, being honest, being confident, being fearless, going there, hitting all the milestones that he needs to hit, and accomplishing the things that he needs to accomplish. Now, a girl will look at a guy like that and she'll be like, damn, this guy is attractive.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it goes to show that I'm kind of picking up the undercurrents and themes and principles behind what you're saying. And it seems like when a man's on his mission, when he's confident, when he's non-needy, and he comes from a place of wholeness, it's a lot more natural to attract the right women because you're coming from a place of love and wholeness versus from a place of fear. And I think a lot of guys actually, honestly, they overlook this emotional, or some more spiritual guys might think it's more of an energetic thing, where they don't understand that it's not always about what you say or do. I've said this multiple times, but it's about who you are and how you carry yourself. And I know
Mm.
some guys might be like, okay, so body language, right? It's like, no, like, yes, have good body language, but it's really about like, how do you feel about yourself? Because I think for a lot of guys, they don't realize this, but you can't run from yourself.
Oh,
Who
you
you
can't.
are,
Yeah.
yeah, who you are is always shining through. And I think a lot of guys, yeah, they sometimes, let's be honest, they don't want to put in that big work because they fear that they're so fucked up that's going to take a long time. And it goes back to what you said,
Mm.
the magic bullet syndrome or the shiny object or whatever. There's different terms for it, but they want that quick solution. And I will say, I've noticed for the clients, and this is, I'm going to say this with love. In general, when someone wants to get ahead quickly and they're impatient, those are usually the guys that actually end up sabotaging themselves
Oh
because
yeah, all the
they
time.
always do a quick fix. And I'm like, oh man, like, actually now you're recovering from how that quick fix had negative consequences as
Mm.
opposed to being consistent with the right things.
Yeah, good point. In fact, I had a client who was like that before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly like what you mentioned. Yes, so I can relate to it very well.
Yeah, and the other thing is like it's also not so much about what they say or do. It does matter, but the fact that they come from such like a nervous, like energy, like a fearful
Yeah.
place, that's going to bleed over in everything.
Yes,
And
it,
when you
it
can sense that,
can. Yeah, I normally tell them that you see, if one area is affected, the rest will be affected. Don't think that you can isolate it because everything is interconnected. So it's better for you to like have a bird's eye view, and then from there, work on the one that makes you feel excited first.
mm-hmm.
And that's the key. Don't work on something that you think is a chore and like, oh my god, I gotta do this. Like, say for example, okay, let's pull it away from dating. Let's say for example, fitness. Like
Mm-hmm.
like okay, you gotta take care of your diet, but it's a chore to do that, and you prefer to actually just work out. Well,
Mm-hmm.
if I were you, I just focus on the workout routines and
Mm-hmm.
make that work. And slowly try to implement the diet along the way instead of like
Yeah,
focusing on the diet and like, oh, I have to diet before I mean, if you enjoy working out, then why not just focus on that because it's more exciting and you get more results faster. Then
exactly.
slowly, yeah, it makes more sense. So it's the same for dating, right? If you're like, oh my god, I gotta fix this because I'm not confident. I gotta learn how to speak. But if you're more interested in fashion, why not you focus on fashion? And then really later on you can divert your energy to the rest.
Absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
it goes to say, I think we're diving into like the meta points of
Mm.
like learning. It is true. I found I've actually been able to kind of push myself when things are really shitty. But by and large, I'm not saying I'm special or not special, but
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, when I did it is because I used to be very neurotic, which is like
Mm.
really driving. It's good and bad in the sense that it can also become a very tiresome existence because it feels like you always have to get somewhere. But I have found in general, people don't want to do shit they don't want to do. That's why trying to push yourself and trying to shame yourself, trying to say you're not being an alpha male if you're doing XYZ or not doing the approaches is a horrible way to motivate yourself. I actually think it's really funny because I think usually the way we treat ourselves and try to push ourselves and get ourselves to do things, quite honestly, the opposite way is the better way, where you have to like motivate yourself, inspire yourself,
Yeah.
do things that you actually enjoy because then it's more natural. And I think a lot of guys, the reason maybe also why they don't have coaches or they don't get good is because they view it as, oh my God, I have to do all the things I hate doing. And it's going to
Yeah.
be rejection after rejection after rejection. And yeah, there is something to be said for persistence, but I'm thinking like, well, you're looking at all the obstacles, but there's got to be a better way where you're like motivated because let's say if you enjoy dancing or something or jujitsu, like there's some hot girls in jujitsu too. Why not just
Yeah.
go over there and like, roll with them or something?
Instant connection. For like a better word.
Exactly.
Just make sure she doesn't tap you out on the first
Yeah,
date.
yeah, because you can't be allowing a girl to tap you out, right? Because masculinity.
Yes, you're gonna like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Bad advice.
Yeah. So Val, we're at a good point where I think we've covered a good amount of stuff that people would get a lot of value from. And I don't want to unnecessarily overload people because there's a lot of points to digest. But the question I
Yeah.
do want to ask you is you mentioned your stages of getting good with women and being able to attract your current girlfriend, aka your dream woman. And I want to ask you this question. Imagine you could go back in time, turn back the clock of time, and go to your young self right when you're about to start this entire journey. What would you
Okay.
tell him? And imagine you only had 30 seconds. Like you would just walk by him, give him this advice, and then you walk out of young Val's life, never to be seen again. What advice would you give him in regards to this journey specifically?
In regards to this journey, I think in 30 seconds, I would tell the younger me to really like push push even more, experience even more. Because the thing is that what's gonna happen is that you're gonna uh, don't hold back. Because I realized in my personal journey, certain things I still was holding back. But the thing is that it took me a longer time to really go down the path of like really pushing myself out there because I'm not that quick of a starter, so it's kind of like it took me a while to really get the rhythm of things. However, if I had the chance to go back, I would just tell him two things, and that is like, number one, push yourself more. Number two, experience more. And overall, don't be afraid to fail. That was my biggest fear last time. Like, don't be afraid to fail. Fail more, fail often, because you're gonna be successful faster. That's
Yeah,
what I'll tell him.
totally. And I think actually I
Yeah.
was bringing I was actually on a client call yesterday, and I want to reiterate the point that you said is failing fast. The key to
Mm.
success, honestly, a lot of times is not figuring out before you do it. It's about failing so quickly and fast. And I'm
Yep.
not saying, yeah, like only fail fast or like only fail, but I mean, like the more quickly you fail, actually, the faster you learn. And it reminds me of a book I read where they did a study where they had a group of students, two groups, where one group was focused on the quality of the product
Yep.
and the other group was just focused on creating a lot of stuff or doing a lot of different rounds. And actually, coincidentally, the group that was focused on quantity eventually yielded higher quality than the group focused on quality up front. It's kind of like if you're ever trying to write an essay for the guys in school and you're trying to like proofread it and make it perfect before you write the whole thing. Usually it's a lot better if you just quickly write it like a rough draft and then you revise it and do it quickly. So really, really solid points. And Val, I know how to find you, but how can people keep in contact with you and learn more about your stuff? And is there anything in particular that you want to let people on this podcast know about that you are focusing on in terms of your coaching programs, etc.?
Sure. Well, okay. So I run the Finance Man, right, where I help confused and frustrated guys pretty much go out there to find and keep the girl whom they want through my proven LEAD method. So basically, how people ask me, so what is this proven method? Well, you want to find out a little bit more, you could always go to my website, thefinancement.com, or actually, to be honest, I'm a lot more active on Facebook because the website is just a front for people to go there to ask questions and stuff like that. But I'm a lot more active on Facebook, so add me up on Facebook. Like our page, The Finance Man, on Facebook. And I have this group where, Jeremy, you're inside, right? It's called Becoming the Finance Man. So if you type Becoming the Finance Man, okay, you'll find it on Facebook. And in this group, it's basically a private group where we not only be vulnerable, but at the same time, there are really power players in that group, like people who I look up to in terms of finances, fitness, personal development, and stuff like that. So I bring all these people together and we share advice. We openly share tips, advice, and techniques in terms of how to become the finest versions of ourselves, because we believe that only when we reach that point of like, okay, or actually no, we won't reach that point because in life it's a journey, right? So as we're going on this journey and we have a brotherhood there to support us, right, we can get to our goals faster. And there's no judgment in this group because I'm not all about shaming and people and stuff like that. And there's been a lot of quality interaction in this group in terms of like learning how to improve your finances, for example, learning about fashion, learning about health, and it's a completely free group to join. So if you guys are interested, you can just type in Becoming the Finance Man and find me on Facebook. It's a Facebook group where every single day you will see interaction. So that's really good because you want immediate feedback, right? So that's one thing. And right now, currently, if let's say, for example, if you're a guy who is into online dating, that's that's an area which I'm pushing really hard for right now because in Singapore it's very popular. So not many people here in Singapore. So if you're listening to this and you're in Singapore, add me up on Facebook. Okay, go like my page, send me a message, and yeah, let's talk. If you have problems with online dating, which is actually very easy to solve because it all boils down to whether or not you got the right profile picture and whether you're writing the right kind of profile.
Val, thanks again for coming on to the show. I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom. A lot of good knowledge bombs I think a lot of guys will learn from. And yeah, thanks again.
Appreciate it, man. Looking forward to maybe round 2 next time.
Yeah, for sure, man. Definitely will be happening. All right, guys, take care.